Hello, everybody. I am Laura Jensen, the president of the American Meishan Breeders Association, and today I am here with Elemental Acres and Elemental Eats, the husband and wife team that we featured on our Facebook page recently that not only has the certified Meishan pork on their truck, but all they raise are registered Meishan stock. They're based in Oregon. They've been our first breeder that was out on the West Coast as far as in Oregon and our furthest one over there. And so I wanted to share their experiences with you all today and the success that they have found in the Meishan as well as with their food truck. So welcome. Introduce yourselves, please.
Hi, Laura. It's so nice to talk to you again. I'm Rebecca Thompson. I'm primarily focused on the farm and operations here on the farm with raising the Meishans. Introduce yourself.
I'm Mike. I'm the husband to all that. I'm primarily focused on filling people's bellies with critically endangered animals.
So that's interesting. So y'all split it. So Mike, you're the cook. Rebecca, you're the farmer. Very cool.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, that was kind of where we started with my farm. And anyhow, moving on. So how long have you had the Meishan on your farm?
So we got our first two barrows in October of 2019. They were not from registered stock. It was the only thing that we could find anywhere near us. And I absolutely fell in love with them. I always tell people I stumbled on the Meishan by seeing a post from Wendy Palmer and Imperial Meishans on Facebook one day. Became pretty quickly completely obsessed with them.
Obsession is correct.
By January of 2020, we connected with Cheryl Eaglewoman, who at the time was outside of Kalispell, Montana, but was getting ready to move to northeastern Washington. And because I was able to convince Mike to drive up there on January 3rd with all the snow and everything, we were able to get a great deal on our first two gilts from her. So Mei Feng and Ayla both came from Cheryl Eaglewoman. And then COVID happened. Yeah. And it was like the end of September 2020 before we were able to find a boar because we couldn't get any shipped out. All of that had been shut down. So our big boar came from Middle Haven, outside of Spokane, Washington. And at that point in time, Cheryl and Billy were the only breeders, I believe, anywhere west of Missouri. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have a lot of options out here, but
now there's options.
There's lots of options.
Yeah, y'all created options. I know some pigs have flown in from the East Coast for you guys as well. So you've certainly done your part. What kind of herd do you have? Do you have multiple breeding pairs, different genetics? What have you put together over there?
So we've actually got quite a bit of diversity because we have all three genetic resources in our herd: USDA, University of Illinois, and Iowa State. Mm-hmm. Our first two gilts that are now sows have all three lines in them. So we've got a good mix. We've got quite a bit of USDA, but we've got everything. We have currently 2 boars in our breeding program and 7 sows, although a couple of those from our most recent litters were, oops, you weren't supposed to get in there. So I haven't sent in registration paperwork for you yet because we haven't made decisions about whether or not we're going to keep breeding them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, 2 boars, 7 sows. We can do breeding pairs. We have our boars are completely unrelated, and we have 1 sow from you, Gaia.
Yeah.
She's one of our sweetest moms, and just pretty much like a big dog. Even when she has tiny babies on the ground, you walk in there and she just wants to lay her head in your lap. So we just adore her.
She rubs her head on your leg hard, trying to get scratchy. Yeah.
Her mom is Charlotte, who is my pet pig. So
that explains a lot. we had a farmhand when Gaia first got to the farm that spent an awful lot of time with Gaia. Yeah. Just playing with her like a puppy. Yeah. He'd just sit down. He would just sit down in her pasture, and he'd let her crawl all over him. So that made a big difference in that pig.
Yeah, I tell people all the time because they want to know if they can be there at farrowing, and I always tell them, make friends now.
Yeah, Yeah.
Do it up front, and that's proof of it from what you guys are seeing on
Yeah.
video. So I think you may be the only other person that flies pigs in the country. Do you know? I mean, I can for my personal farm, as far as Meishan preservation, but do you know anybody other than you and I that are flying
Well,
back and forth?
I think Wendy's flown some, but did she end up doing that for you?
I do that for her.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And we can fly out of Seattle and Portland, both.
Okay.
We're an hour from Portland. We're an hour 45 from Seattle.
Yeah.
So it's not a real big issue for us if we can't get a good flight out of Portland to pull one out of Seattle, and it quadruples the number of places we could fly to.
Yeah, because it's nonstop. So I only have Atlanta that I can play from. So
we're set up with both Alaska Airlines and Delta as well,
great.
and we've used both. So far we've flown pigs into California, Georgia.
Yeah,
it's been the two main places. It seems like there was one more.
There was one more, Michigan or something. I don't know.
yeah. So for everybody listening, what I want you to take away from this is you guys actually have more options than I do as far as flying pigs and the ability to do on the West Coast what we've done on the East Coast. And that's definitely to get some certified breeders in those states that don't have them. Those are the ones that we see are the most successful, the quickest, because they're in that new territory. And you guys are in a perfect position to help them because you have piglets on the ground now that you can air flight, right? They're small enough that you can do it.
We have about 30 piglets right now that were all born between the 1st of the year and the 1st of February that are still able to be flown. Unfortunately, all the boars have been castrated at this point, but we do have sparrows and lots of gilts.
Okay, so they could go ahead and get their gilts on the ground and grown, and then you could come back with boars on the next breedings. That's great. I wish you were closer because my challenge, and I know we'll talk about this some as well, is with the new option of the Meishan in the show ring. We know that we've had success in showmanship. I actually need 7 pigs to go in the show ring that were born around February. So I wish we were closer.
I do too, because I got, I think, 5 from Gaia's litter that are still available.
But I know Charlotte's a chunk. If I had time for a road trip for 7 days on the road, I would be out there. But another interesting thing that touches on is your farm was actually the first farm to see success in the show ring for the Meishan. Could you tell us about that?
Sure. It's actually just an incredibly heartwarming story. We had a gilt born end of last January that was super tiny, like size of the stick of butter. She was one of a litter of 19 from Meifeng. And we ended up bringing her in the house because she wasn't going to make it, and started calling her Toby after Mike's grandmother, because she just was just full of fire, lots and lots of energy, just
pain in the ass.
Chasing the, she eventually would be, frequently caught chasing the cat around the house. And she actually spent almost 4 weeks, I think. Three weeks in the bathroom. 3 weeks in the house.
That's a long time with a little pig, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a long time, but luckily the Meishans are smart enough to potty train themselves immediately.
Yeah.
So she just, used our walk-in shower as her depository. Perfect. And it was made life real easy. Yeah, never an accident. That's nice.
Yeah.
Wish we could say that about the dogs.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so obviously we were pretty attached to her, and the idea of her being grown out for me was going to be a little bit more of a challenge. I get really attached. I had a lady reach out to me looking for a barrow for her teenage daughter for FFA. And this was going to be her first year. And she wanted to know if they could come out and meet the pigs, that her daughter wanted specifically to do something special. She wanted to work with a breed that needed an advocate, which obviously spoke strongly to my heart. And so they came out, we made quite the connection, and they picked out a barrow, And we got him loaded up, and they wanted a tour of the rest of the farm. And when we walked into the barn where the litter was that Toby was with, the mom just fell in love with him. And so she decided that they wanted to take Toby home just to be a companion to the Barrow as he grew up. Awesome, perfect. So a year goes on, every once in a while I get pictures, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, and in the summer, I get this message from her with these beautiful pictures saying that the Barrow had injured his foot the week before fair and was unable to attend. And so the daughter had decided that she was going to take Toby, now Tinkerbell, to the fair and show her for showmanship so that she could still participate. And she had not spent any time at all working with this pig. She just decided she's just going to take her and see what happens. And she ended up taking first place in cooperation, or second place in cooperation, first place in showmanship, and reserve grand champion overall.
Wow.
For showmanship.
That's
and I just cried.
Yeah.
It's such a Charlotte's Web kind of a story.
It really is. Yeah, heartwarming to the end. Very much.
So I still kick around the idea that someday if I ever find time, like when I'm 80, that maybe I'll write a children's book and we can have our own little Meishan story, Wilbur story out there, whatever.
Yeah, I think
make delicious gravy at the end.
And then there's that. Well, all right. And then I think the last question, just for folks that are getting to know you guys, you raise them on pasture, I believe, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So we have just under 27 acres, not all of it's wooded, forested areas with wild hazelnuts, Doug firs, and wild plums and cherries, and apples.
Lots of blackberries.
Lots and lots of blackberries.
And the pigs love the blackberry roots.
Oh,
which makes them in conjunction with our goats a wrecking crew for blackberries.
That's good. And then they're not destroying the land, but they're cleaning up the land.
Yeah, they're cleaning up. Yeah.
So we typically, when they're younger, we try to rotate them through pasture as they grow up. And then usually sometime around 8 months, depending on how many pigs we have on the farm and where they are in the cycle, we try to rotate them up onto the hillside into the wooded areas where all the blackberries and everything are. And it's amazing how fast 5 or 6 pigs can just clear out an area that is completely overgrown with blackberries. I mean, you've been to our farm, you've seen it. We have piles of blackberries that are taller than we are. And not only do they like the young leaves and the shoots and the berries and all that stuff in the summertime, but in the fall and winter, when the plants start to put all their energy down into the roots and the roots get sweet, they rip the whole root ball out.
Oh, and that's what you want, right? You wanted the land.
Yeah.
We do. Yeah. When we bought our property, you couldn't hardly see the trees because it was so overgrown with blackberries and scotch. So they are phenomenal brush control for us. And when we take them out of the areas that they have gone in and just what you look at and think are completely new, what's really interesting is all of the grasses and the things that you want come back stronger and better than ever.
Very good. I love hearing that. So when you got into them, was this food truck part of the plan?
No, the food truck became more of a, how do we get rid of 5 or 6 pigs in a month so that we can continue to breed and have a steady, controllable outlet for the meat. So getting them USDA processed, having them just killed USDA was a better option for us. The state of Oregon, the ODA, Department of Ag, they have what's known as a restaurant exemption. So you can bring a whole animal into your restaurant and you can break it down for recipe use any way you want. And you can sell up to 40% of those recipes without cooking them.
Oh,
So that allows us to make our own sausage, make our own bacon, make our own ham, and
very
sell
good.
it through our restaurants
Yeah.
without having to have it a USDA FSA inspected finished product.
Very good.
And because that USDA finished product in this area runs upwards of $2.90 a pound hang weight. Yeah, you know what that does to the finished
That's
product.
more than double what it is over here.
It's ridiculous.
Wow.
And that's just the processing. That's not the kill fee. That's just the cut and wrap.
So you're over $10 a pound landed before you ever do anything with it.
Before we do anything. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So what the food truck was a cost control measure to be able to utilize that restaurant exemption, because that was going to be cheaper for us and easier than convincing people that $16 a pound pork was the way to go.
Yeah. And I like that you've done it so that you don't have people on your farm all the time. And I'm that person that has people on their farm all the time, and it does get tiring. Sometimes you just want your farm to yourself. So I love that you looked at it with a fresh approach of moving 5 or 6 hogs a month is no small feat. I'm just at the point now that I'm only moving 3 to 4 hogs a month, just because of everything that's gone on. So
it's not every month.
Yeah, but we're the last 3 months we've killed 5 pigs a month.
We skipped November.
January.
We did September, October, November. We skipped December.
We did January.
We did January and February.
That's still very impressive. So
yeah,
and it's 4 to 6.
Yeah, but so I say 5.
Yeah.
And the freezer that we're standing in front of is all the pork that we have. So we're moving it. The food truck did, and then it's brought an enormous amount of awareness, because everything we say it's featuring Meishan pork. That's the only meat that's on the truck is Meishan pork.
That's fantastic.
We don't do any chicken. We don't do any beef. Much to my chagrin, there are things that I would like to put on the menu that are not pork, but we are still doing just pork. And
my fault.
That's her fault.
There's always something to work on, right?
Yeah, exactly. But being able to showcase the pork in multiple different ways, from a lasagna to biscuits and gravy, for a long time has been our biggest seller. It's still our number.
It is. Yeah,
it is absolutely number 1 in units sold.
Very good.
It is quickly being overtaken by our fresh Cuban sandwiches. The Cuban has, it's a pulled Cuban pork
and ham.
and our ham, and that's a deadly combination. It's killer.
Yeah, you made me want to fly back out there.
yeah. I'd send you a sandwich, but I think it'd be easier to send you the recipe.
Yeah.
So that being able to get people to put it in their mouth with just a finished product. I've lost a couple of food truck customers because they started buying food boxes. $100 worth of meat, get some, 4 pounds of sausage. They get a couple of pounds of bacon, a couple of pounds of ham, maybe some pork chops and a tenderloin. And all of a sudden they can make what they were getting on my food truck at home. And that's fantastic. As long as they keep coming back for either the food truck or the farm, we're good. So
couple thoughts. One, I want to sidestep just a second. I know where you are because you guys had me out to tour the farm and share the Meishan information with some other farms out there. But you guys actually did what I did, in that you built your own licensed butcher shop on your farm, in your barn. No, not your barn.
In our shop. In the shop.
Close to the barn. So tell us a little bit about that. What was that required for the food truck, or where did that inspiration come from?
Yeah, that actually came from Rebecca wanting to bring you out and do that. She wanted to, do that Meishan masterclass with you.
Yeah, that's what I did out there.
And she's like, but we got to have a place to do it. So we dropped a chunk of change and built a 12 by 24 absolutely commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
It's set up to cut meat in.
Yeah.
And that makes it everything like that. Had we not done that, we would have never even thought of doing the food truck.
Yeah.
So that was just the progression of things.
Yeah. Okay. I remember you were finishing it up as I was walking in the day before class started.
That month before you showed up, it went from storage end of the shop to usable kitchen.
Yeah. And so that freezer that you said is behind you, pretty much you can kind of see the door there between the two of them. So it's pretty much, if I remember right, it's two of those doors, right? So that's not a very big freezer when you're running the kind of hogs you are a month. I've talked to people that have more freezers than that when they start processing. So kudos to y'all for finding your path and getting the Meishan to move. You've actually reminded me the other part that I wanted to mention. I've been watching to see when it's time to really push our service mark. We have the A.M.B.A. Certified Meishan Pork service mark that's registered. It's a federal mark. And I think y'all are the best example I think I've ever seen. So I think I want to talk to y'all about how can we incorporate that, and how can the A.M.B.A. support you with that so that we can bring more recognition, not only to the Meishan, but the certified Meishan pork. What I'm starting to see is if you say the word Meishan, people's ears kind of perk up now. And as y'all know, that was a road that didn't happen at first. But that also means that people are going to take non-registered stock and produce a version of it. It's how it goes. I'm not dissing that, but we have the service mark. We have people like you guys that are committed and devoted to the registered stock and making sure that we save this breed and it's documented. And that's where the service mark comes in, to make sure that we're saying this is the best of the best. So I really would like to work with y'all on how can we get that out there on your products and your marketing and things like that.
We would love that.
Cool. Very cool. So I wrote a list of questions. That's what I'm looking at. So you've answered several of them already. It is exclusively Meishan, which I think is fantastic. It sounds like your customers are sold on the difference. That's really that they love it. And biscuits and gravy, man, that sounds amazing. If only I could eat the biscuits, but I believe I'd take the hit on that one. Where are you going next? Is it you want to keep this going? You want to keep building the supply each month, or what are your goals next for the operation?
So that's a really tough question to answer. We've been looking at a restaurant, trying to find a way to get us time off.
That's a big one for all farmers. All of us.
When I think Rebecca last year had like 6 days off, I had 4. That was enough. This year, I think I'm hoping to have 5. Maybe in a row even. That'd be all right. I think right now we're so focused on getting the model that we have completely self-sufficient. With feed costs being what they are, all the things, it's just a matter of we're just getting to that point.
You've done it enough. Well, how long have you had the food truck?
It's only been in operation for 8 months.
Oh, so you don't even have your first year under your belt.
No. And we've got some weddings that we're catering this upcoming year. We've done some corporate events, where we get to talk to a whole bunch of people in other realms, just specifically about our pork. So that's been, it's all on the food truck side. It's all about awareness. Nobody's, I say nobody because very few people have still heard of Meishan pig. When people say pork, they just think pork. It's the other white meat. And it's not white meat in our world.
Really, we're the other red meat.
We are the other red meat. And Rebecca likes to tell people it's, you know, like the Wagyu of pork, which that's a Berico. You know, that's a totally different breed. They own that slogan.
I mean, you can say that about Burks too, and that's
I actually use the term Kobe, not Wagyu.
Kobe, sorry. But yeah, it's just a different product all the way around.
We need a tagline, don't we? We need our own tagline for the Meishan. We don't need to copy what's out there, because that is its own deal.
You know, I think probably the biggest difference between, you know, on finished product between our product and everyone else's is the consistency of the fat being smoother, more buttery. It feels like lanolin when you get it on your skin. It's very hydrating to your skin. It's just a different product all the way around. It's harder to cook with, and I think probably in the next year or so, I'll probably want to do some cooking classes for people.
Very good.
To actually teach them how to cook with our pork. Because you can't,
is needed.
Yeah, you can't throw a pork chop on your grill and cook it. It has to be over. Fire. Yeah, it just turns into a candle immediately. So, you know, there's some challenges there, getting people to understand that they don't have to cook it to 210 degrees.
Yeah, please don't.
To kill all the worms in it that they might think are in pork. It's just one more teaching moment.
Pretty much every time we have a new pork customer that buys meat, one of us at least takes the time and makes the effort to have a conversation with them so they understand that what they're buying is different, and that their approach to cooking it's just a mindset change. And, you know, it takes extra time, but I think it's worth the effort, because everybody who has bought a pork box from us that has then come back and went, oh my gosh, you know, one of the couples from the wine bar that I work at part-time 1 day a week.
3 hours a week.
That's been actually a huge help. Wine people are food people.
Yes, they are.
It's driven a lot of people to it. Anyhow, they send us pictures all the time of what they cook with the products. They post about them on Facebook. They ask for advice. I think Polly was going to do pork chops and potatoes in the oven for like 3 hours at 275.
Yeah.
And Mike was like, no, don't do that. And they appreciate the effort to help guide them in the right direction. And then they just rave about how good it is. If there was one piece of advice I would give to all of the Meishan breeders out there that are specifically raising for meat, it's get it in their mouth. Just find a way to get your pork into situations where people can taste it, cooked the way that it should be creative with what you decide to make with it. We created a new sandwich last week that uses our spicy Italian sausage with a warm, spicy, tangy coleslaw on top of it. And it's, oh my God, so good.
It's good. With fresh cucumbers.
What I hear is the lard is a benefit. The fact that is a huge benefit to you. It's an edge, if you will.
We have people who specifically come to us to buy lard to add to their wild game sausages, to elk and venison. Our farmhand that was with us from June until the beginning of March, she's moved to a neighboring farm now, just to expand her knowledge, experience and knowledge. But Kate has over the summer started making handcrafted soaps that are 100% Meishan lard.
Service mark. Let's talk some more about that.
Yeah, it is. I have incredibly dry skin. I always have struggled with dry skin, and it used to be that, you know, I had to just literally slather myself in lotion all the time. And since using those soaps,
my lotion bill's gone down significantly.
I mean, other than my hands, because farming, I almost never have to use lotion anymore. And that's the only soap we use now.
Very cool. So, I was just making a note there. I'm in the middle of revamping our website. It's overdue. There's some things that need to be added, adjusted, you name it. And one of the things that I think we have an avenue for is piglet sales. And I need to look at that in terms of product sales too, for the soap as well. So I think that would be very helpful too. So what else? What would you guys like to share that I haven't thought to ask? Anything?
Oh my goodness.
Put you on the spot.
They should.
I know.
Yeah,
I got one more question if y'all don't.
Yeah, ask.
How do people in your area find you? So we know that it's Elemental Acres and Rebecca for the pigs, and that you have pigs on the ground. You've got lots of options, more so than really anybody in your area in terms of getting pigs and piglets to people. So I hope everybody hears that. If I can be of any assistance, let me know. But then, Mike, how do we find your truck? Anybody?
Oh, it's hard to miss, man. We are right on Highway 30 in Rainier. We are the only food truck for 20 miles.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, that helps. We're in the grocery outlet parking lot in downtown Rainier.
Okay.
So I'm going to interrupt real quick. Social media, Elemental Acres on Facebook or Instagram. It's Elemental-Eats on Facebook or Instagram. Websites elementalacres.com or elemental-eats.com.
Okay, and that has the location there. That's where I was going next.
Yeah, you can just Google us and find us.
Yep, both
we're
businesses are on Google. So if you put Elemental Eats or Elemental Acres into Google Maps, it will take you right to us.
Okay, all right. Well, that's exciting. You know, I'm going to get back out your way eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah, when I can get some time off. Let me get this website thing. We're growing by leaps and bounds, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's equally as important to highlight folks like y'all that have your own unique means of moving the pork, and like you said, getting people to taste it, to eat it, to try it, so that they come back to you. So let me get that a little bit more under control. And as you guys know, I've been working on a few things on my Jensen Reserve side that require my attention.
Yeah,
and then I'll be on
those
the
are
road
exciting.
again. Yes, yes. So I try not to cross hats, but I kind of, I guess, just blew it there. But anyhow, so yeah, I'll be my Jensen Reserve kitchen will go federal, y'all. So that means wholesale charcuterie is coming up. I've got months of paperwork to do, so I can't do it yet, but we received our initial approval. We have a plant number, so now I can dive into the mounds of paperwork. But A.M.B.A. first, we're going to get it updated and get it situated so that it's more user friendly, and then I'll move on to getting Meishan charcuterie out across the country. So I want to thank you guys for joining us. Thank you very, very much for being here today. And if you guys want to reach out, again, Elemental Acres in Oregon, and we'll see you at the next chat. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Laura.